I can't believe I got away with it.
Tophia.
Oh my god, are they recording? Run, Tophia. Run.
So Tophia!
How's it going today, guys? Here's a video I wasn't expecting to make, and this is almost like a callback to 1 month ago exactly when I made the video called A Brother True Tragedy. That's exactly how I opened it up, but things have completely flipped on their head. Tophiachu has done the unthinkable, everybody. She has let the GoFundMe money go right to her pockets, allegedly. I mean, that's what's been confirmed by some people over in the Chu crew. They have claimed to call the funeral parlor that Brother Chu was allegedly at, and have gotten some information that no, not a single cent was paid for by Tophiachu, because as some people were mentioning in the comment section around the time this happened, is that people really shouldn't be donating because donations. I thought for sure she would definitely be able to get this. And it turns out she did. And she also had around $7,500 in GoFundMe money. And at the time, guys, I was thinking not too big of a deal, right? That's mainly because it was going to her friends, or at least that's what we all thought. And Tophiachu was honestly getting tons of cash apps as well. I mean, we've never heard of in our life before that someone has got so many cash apps. It's exceeded the daily limit. I've asked multiple people about that since I've heard this, and they've never heard of it either. So that was just an insane thing to happen. But we all held out hope that Tophiachu would do the right thing. I mean, there wasn't a chance in the world that, I mean, I mentioned it on live stream, there was a possibility because it had been so long that Tophiachu might have waited to the point that her brother Chu simply was cremated. And it turns out, guys, that is exactly what has happened. Tophiachu has fumbled it. All the goodwill that has been brought to her, it's over with now. You see, tons of people throughout the commentary community, at least the people who covered Tophiachu, was like, Tophiachu is over with. No one's allowed to make videos on her anymore. Like, we just don't want to see this. I mean, Tophiachu, we should all feel sorry for her. But then we get to this point. It's not like this isn't the same person who blames all of you guys, like everybody in this community, for what has happened. We would think that Tophiachu, after all the shock and everything wore off, that she would understand that it was just a terrible person who did a terrible action, right? But no, it's us. We've all done this. We're the ones to blame. We're the responsible parties for what's wrong with Tophiachu. If we didn't get her kicked out of her apartment, well, guess what? Tophiachu would be just fine, even though she's the one who got caught up for destroying the place. I mean, I don't think there's been very many people who's lived in apartments who's got kicked out for no reason. You know, you definitely did something. You was either not paying the rent or you're not keeping the place properly cleaned. And that's what Tophiachu and her family were doing. And that's why they got kicked out. But whose fault is it? Well, it's ours. And all those past apartments, well, it was all our fault, even though I didn't even cover her back then. Don't even come close to blaming Papachu for lining the walls with green crosses and setting fires all over the place. It wasn't none of that, and it wasn't because Tophiachu didn't clean her room. It was all your guys' fault. And so now, when the worst thing possible happens to her, you would think, okay, finally she will come to some realization and she'll be able to get her life together, because she has to. There's no other choice for Tophiachu at this point, because it's either get her life together and get her and Marie some kind of safety, or it's going to be really bad for her, and we don't even know what's going to happen. I mean, it's like a huge question mark. I mean, we can take some solid guesses, but for the most part, I mean, Tophiachu is looking in some rough areas in life, because a part of that donation money, after it all went to Brother Chu and covered everything that he needed, the rest was supposed to go and help Tophiachu and mainly Marie to get them back on their feet. Now, I don't know how much, like $2,000 or $3,000 could help up in New Mexico to get someone back on their feet, but as much money as Tophiachu was pulling in, like, remember, she was bragging about getting what, $145, $245. Getting $3K would help out a whole lot, instead of just, you know, door dashing it and pulling up and buying expensive clothing, or at least somewhat expensive clothing. Now,
Tophia, I just done fucking saw Tophia!
I think the place she went to is called like a Ross's or Roos's, something like that. I don't have one of those where I'm from, but I was able to ask some of my friends in the community who do have those locations, and they say, yeah, there's no food or anything at those places. It's just full of clothing and stuff like that. I said, is there any chance that there is any food or anything like that Tophiachu could get so this isn't as bad as it seems? And they said, no, there's not a chance. They said you could be buying like snacks or something. So yeah, it's most likely that Tophiachu went up and bought clothes. Now, where do you think Tophiachu was trying to protect Tophiachu and save her? Right? I mean, whether you like him or not, that's most likely what occurred. And Tophiachu has just taken this as like a good thing. Let's be honest, guys. Has Tophiachu shown like a lot of remorse besides blaming the trolls? In like the last couple of weeks, she's shown none. She has completely lost every bit of sympathy that she has, because if she's acting like this, do you really think that she's gonna be taking care of Mamachu? No, that's just not gonna happen at all. We all knew that Tophiachu was probably gonna cut and run whenever she got the opportunity. Do you guys remember all the past videos I made where she was like, I for sure can get an apartment. It's not a problem at all. In fact, my family is lucky that I don't go get an apartment because I help them out so much. Where would Mamachu be without me? And like, now we're to the point where I think Tophiachu might be like considering that. Because of the amount of money that she's got, who knows how much Cash App donations she has, and who knows how much money she has from this GoFundMe and other money sources she got. I mean, she has been rolling in cash since this has happened, and she has been loving it, every single bit of it. I remember the last video I made on her, I mentioned that she was door dashing up to 3 times a day, and there were some people who were like, listen, you know, Tophiachu doesn't really have that many options, and I understand that. Tophiachu can't drive. I don't know how packed New Mexico is. I don't really know if you can walk to places easy, so I was just going to give it to her, right? Like, sure, fine. It seems like a bad use of money, but people can let her have it. But no, you can't let her have it anymore, because this is the entire problem. This is what's wrong. This was supposed to help her and her family get on her feet, but all this has really done is made Tophiachu just sit and chill out in a hotel room and eat DoorDash all day. In my last video, I'm going to mention this as well, I for some reason kept thinking she was in a women's shelter, and that's because I heard a lot of talking in the background, and maybe she was in the beginning, but as people pointed out, there's no way Tophiachu went to a women's shelter. She hates those. She thinks the food is bad and the people are annoying, and she's just not going to deal with it. Tophiachu is incredibly selfish. As this entire video, you can see that Tophiachu is a selfish person. So yeah, she was definitely in a hotel. I don't know what I was thinking. So now let me read you some evidence that was compiled by, I believe, the Chu crew that I found over on Reddit. So I called the Trujillo Funeral Home in New Mexico and spoke to a woman at the front desk, not providing their actual name, good on them, who was confirmed that they provided the cremation services for the Slidell family and Donald has been cremated. Your donation is not paying for these services, as the lady has told me that the crime victims had paid for their cremation services. The Slidell family has not paid the Trujillo Funeral Home, nor have they received any money from them. She further stated that CV paid for it and for the cremation, costing $6,000. Donald is cremated and has not been buried. The Slidells have not paid for a plot of land or any funeral, memorial, or wake service to the home. So as you could see, Tophiachu was yelling the whole time that people weren't taking this serious. If only people would have helped beforehand, then things wouldn't have been like this. But you guys see, if people would have helped, what would have happened? Tophiachu would have took advantage of the money. She would have just DoorDashed tons and tons of food for 3 people. She would have probably been paying like $150. But who would have cared? She was getting tons of cash apps. Wouldn't have been a big deal to her. And then once she was broke again, she would just cry, blame the trolls, and just try to start all over again. This was the exact reason when this all went down, people were like, do not pay Tophiachu directly. This will be a big problem later in the future. And those people were proven exactly right. They were like, if you're going to pay anybody, probably pay Marie. She has an open PayPal and she'd probably be using the money better. And we gotta say, Marie's probably not in a condition to actually use it. So all in all, it would probably just be on Tophiachu at this point. And since it's all now on Tophiachu, we've got to consider a few things. That eventually all of this money, probably in a short amount of time, is going to be gone. Because if you're door dashing 3 times a day, out buying new clothes just about every single day, plus buying other kinds of items, like we know Tophiachu is a terrible spender, so she's out buying Hannah Montana stuff, buying Blues Clues crap, just anything that catches her attention. You know, her TikTok brain just sees it and she just can't help herself. So we know the money's getting spent like that. So it's all going to be gone. And who knows how much longer Marie's going to be in the hospital for. It couldn't be that much longer, because as soon as she's out, she's going to realize they're broker than they were beforehand, because it's got to be like hundreds and hundreds of dollars a day. Tophiachu Max probably got 15 to 18K out of this. That can probably only last for about 2 or 3 months with Tophiachu's spending habits. And I know that sounds kind of insane, but I bet some of you guys will be in the comments like, nah, I bet Tophiachu could only make that last 1 month, especially if she has access to it all at once. And think about Papachu right now. Papachu is dealing with this, who knows what. The rest of the family don't even care about him at this point. Papachu is the last thing on their mind. He's in and out of jail, and normally Tophiachu just can't wait to get online and defend Papachu from all the trolls, but she doesn't even care at this point. TikTok isn't making her any money. She's earning far more by just sitting there and getting some sympathy from people who still don't know that she's done all of this yet. And her TikTok career, like whatever kind of career it was beforehand, is kind of looking bleak now. You know, before there was like a good bit of people who would donate to Tophiachu just ironically, just to get a laugh out of her. They would subscribe just to talk trash in the comment section. Plenty of people did that all of the time, but now, how many people do you think is actually going to be giving Tophiachu money? She lost all of that goodwill, and there's no more Brother Chu working for them anymore. He was the one person earning income in that entire car. No one else was getting cash. Like, if you seriously want to call Tophiachu's $250 earning something, I mean, she could have probably been doing better outside panhandling, and who knows, maybe that's what Tophiachu was doing as a side hustle. But let's be real, that requires real work, and I just don't think Tophiachu is going to put that kind of effort in. So now there's going to be no donations. Do you think in the future when Tophiachu's like, guys, please give me money, I'm in a desperate situation, I need it, please somebody give me some cash, people are just going to open their wallet and hand it to her? Those days are over with. Like, Tophiachu doesn't even know what kind of bad move she made by doing this. It's not even about how bad her reputation was beforehand. It's just how bad her reputation is stained now, because everything else she's done in the past just seems like small compared to what she's done at this point. And if you guys think this is like a situation that Tophiachu normally finds herself in, where it's just so much work that she just can't bring herself to actually do it, even though it's just sign a few papers and actually show up to something. No. Tophiachu willingly let this happen to Brother Chu. She willingly signed the papers to cremate him instead of doing anything like that, even though she knew she had the money to at least have a small service. But Tophiachu just didn't care that much. I want you guys to remember that basically everybody who did commentaries on Tophiachu left some apologies for her and her family at the time, and most of the people who watched this content felt terrible for her and her family. Nova Online, one of the biggest goofballs on the internet, even felt sympathy for Tophiachu and her family. That was how bad that situation was. But there was one person in the world who didn't really care at all what was going on. That was Tophiachu. All Tophiachu cared about was how much she could get out of this situation. She says all the time that we are to blame. I know I mentioned this before, but Tophiachu, in all honesty, I think Lemur was right. I think that's how we're going to close off this video. If you know, you know, but it might not have been the best timing for him to say it, but all in all, Lemur was right. If Tophiachu would have worked, if Tophiachu would have done more in her past, she would not have been in that car. She had plenty of opportunity to do things to get them out of that situation. We're not going to pull a full squid shoe, alright? Lemur was right. That's how we're going to close off the video. If you guys like the video, drop a like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and follow the socials as well. And I'll catch you guys next time.